Zambia is a developing country striving for economic growth. Our country has high levels of inequality, poverty, and unemployment. This, together with a shortage of the kinds of skills necessary to drive economic growth, creates an environment where there is competition for jobs and opportunities. Such a situation has seen the increase in the likelihood of fraudulent qualifications. One way to combat the growth of fraudulent qualifications floating on the market was to establish a qualifications framework. This is an instrument for the development, classification, and recognition of knowledge, skills, and competencies along a continuous series of agreed levels. Objectives of the Zambia Qualifications Authority include integration, so as to create a single integrated national framework for learning achievements, access, mobility, and progression, in order to facilitate access to and mobility and progression within education, training, and career paths. Quality, so as to enhance the quality of education and training. And employment, in order to promote education, training, and employment opportunities. The Zambia Qualifications Authority, ZAQA, was enacted by the Zambia Qualifications Authority Act No. 13 of 2011 to develop and implement the Zambia Qualifications Framework. The Director and CEO of ZAQA, Mrs. Miriam Chiava, gives a brief background on the mandate of ZAQA.
The Zambia Qualifications Authority is a statutory body under the Ministry of Higher Education. It came into being following enactment of the Zambia Qualifications Authority Act No. 13 of 2011. Basically to develop and manage the national qualifications framework and to ensure that qualifications that are so accredited on the qualifications framework are internationally comparable. Basically, the Qualifications Authority, despite the enactment of the Act in 2011, only started operating fully in 2015. To start with the operations, we had to put in place procedures and measures to ensure that the qualifications that we accredit are internationally comparable, and also that our standards are standards that can easily be referenced. In a nutshell, the Zambia Qualifications Authority is the custodian of all Zambian qualifications, and it is the reference point for all non-Zambian qualifications. What that basically means is that we have the role to manage all qualifications starting from grade 7, because that is the first qualification that you acquire when you are recognized. So we have grade 7 all the way through to the doctorate degree.
Procedures and measures were put in place in order to ensure qualifications that are accredited are internationally comparable and easily referenced. There are 10 levels on the qualification framework.
So we have the grade 7 qualification, grade 9 and 12 are sitting at the same level. However, the grade 12, of course, is higher. And then we have levels, 4 levels sitting at under the trades and occupations sub-framework, which is basically generally known as TVET qualifications framework, but it really encompasses a lot of trades and occupations. This is where you find your level 3 certificate, or what would be called the trade certificate. We have the craft certificate, or the level 4, and we have the technician, or level 5, and we have the diploma. Then we do have the next levels, which are basically looking at our higher education sub-framework, and these start from the bachelor's degree, and in there we have honors, not honorary degree, but honors degree. We have an ordinary degree, we have postgraduate level, we have the master's degree, and then we have the doctorate degree. So this is the qualifications framework. What do we mean when we're talking about a qualifications framework? We're basically talking of an instrument that integrates and defines qualifications. It gives standards. It basically says that at level 10, doctorate level, what is it that a person who comes and says, I'm a doctor, what is it that they can do? And basically that is demonstrated by the knowledge, the skills, and the competences that they have. So basically that's what we manage. So we set the standards, and these standards are not from without. We compare with what is prevailing in similar institutions across, the region and internationally. So we are a body that is recognized through SADC. We are recognized through as high as the UN levels, because we are a competent authority to manage the qualifications for the country.
In addition to being aware of the 10 levels of progression on the Zambia Qualifications Framework, Mrs. Chiaba highlighted the benefit of increased access for a student and employee once qualifications have been standardized.
But then to support this qualifications framework, we are also cognizant of the fact that we have qualifications that come from outside the country into the country, and basically we need to ensure that when they come into the country they adhere to our standard, because yes, we have internationally comparable standards, but different countries are at different levels and they call their papers differently. So what happens is that when somebody comes with a qualification from outside the country, we look at it, we evaluate it, and we issue a comparability statement or an evaluation statement. However, before we do that, we want to know that whoever has brought that qualification, it is genuine, because there's no need and there's no point in us giving you an evaluation status when you went to Zimbabwe and bought the qualification.
On the 14th of September 2017, the Zambia Qualifications Authority, ZAQA, held a workshop in order to inform various stakeholders on the roles and functions of the authority. Highlights of the workshop proceedings included the emphasis on registration of institutions operating in education and training.
And the other thing that we need to note is that when we were enacted, there were other institutions that were already existing, and then they were using the system that we are trying to break. So we have what we call the transition periods. There's the post-transition period and the transition period. The transition period is to allow those people who are using the old system, so that the system that they will start using now should tally with what we've prescribed as ZAQA.
So we'll first of all start off by more or less finding out how registered is that particular institution. Is it recognized by like a regulatory body in that particular country? And then from there, we move on to find out how true or genuine that qualification is.
Each and every institution must have a documented policy that guides how recognition of prior learning is done. It should not be haphazard, depending on who you find at the recruitment desk. And then they say, okay, you can come in, or no, you can't. No, it must be documented, and it must follow certain standards. But those institutions that are responsible for conducting assessments and certification, they also have RPL policies that they need to develop.
Mrs. Chiaba emphasized the importance of accreditation of international institutions and how this in turn affects the credibility of the attained foreign qualification.
What basically happens if you have a requirement or you want to go and study outside the country? We have a lot of our people wanting to study in China, in Russia, in India, in the UK, in America. What we are saying is the authority is able to advise you on the authenticity of this institution. So before you pay your monies, please come to the authority, For now, that service is free. We are not charging. Come to the authority and find out, is this institution accredited? Will I be recognized when I come back from my studies? It is better, it is safer for you to know the accreditation status of that institution. If you want to study online, there are those quick MBAs in 2 weeks. Those ones I can tell you for sure, we will not recognize them without me breaking my head, because they do not meet the criteria. However, if you, those are just awards that are good to have. But if you have a requirement at a certain point in time where you want to go and study something, yes, it can be a year, 2 years, a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, even a diploma. You want to do it online? You want to actually travel to that country? Before you do that, before you spend money, please come to the Zambia Qualifications Authority, find out the status of this institution, because you as a person may not see the blueprint, because in some institutions actually they say the devil is in the detail. Some institutions are obliged to actually indicate their accreditation status, and you will find that they will indicate their accreditation status. Some of them do indicate that they are accredited, but the question we will be able to find out is whether they're accredited with the right institution. We have institutions that are called accreditation mills and diploma mills. So these institutions, which are called diploma mills, they churn out thousands and thousands of qualifications. Generally and normally you find they are online. It's very difficult to find where they are situated. Sometimes you can find that they are domiciled in a particular country. They will be registered. They will tell you that they are registered by legislation there, but they are not registered by a department of education in that jurisdiction. So already you know that there's a problem, because as far as the Qualifications Authority is concerned, and all authorities which follow the traditional way of teaching, which is accepted, where quality assurance is assured, you must have educational accreditation. And educational accreditation in all jurisdictions requires that the agency that accredits is recognized by the government.
Zambia positively receives this initiative and commits to cooperating with the Zambia Qualifications Authority for quality and standardized qualifications. Zambia Qualifications Authority. You learn, we standardize.
Wewe mkajiana Rosemary